One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
We have never in the history of this sport been more back than we are this week. We are all the way back. It's the best sport on the face of planet Earth.
That man next to you is a miracle. That man next to you is a believer. That man next to you is a go-getter. That man next to you is a dog. That man next to you is somebody who wants this thing. That man next to you is somebody who believes. That man next to you is somebody that got to have it today. We ain't got tomorrow. We got now. We ain't got next. We got now. We ain't coming no more.
Yeah, baby, Saturdays in America are back. Those of you guys who aren't football fans, I feel bad for you. I am a raving college football fan, which is why you've got the Notre Dame thing on the evil chair back there. And then, of course, being a Dolphin fan down here in Miami. So for the next, 5, 6 months? September, October, November, December, January. For the next 5.5 months, it is football season. The football ends. It culminates. What's the date of the Super Bowl here? The date of the Super Bowl is Sunday, February 8th, 2026. So right from today on, every single weekend, and some of the weekdays, Thursday as well, we will be talking about football. Not here so much. I mean, I've had some people say, Barry, can you just let us know like how things are going? All right, so let me just bring those up to speed who are here instead of watching their television. I'll do this on Saturdays. You got currently Indiana is over Old Dominion. Penn State is whooping up on Nevada. Georgia they're taking care of business against Marshall. There's a problem here. Florida State is beating up on Alabama. And for those of you who live in Texas, let me be the first to console you after Arch Manning had what would be considered a very inauspicious debut at the helm quarterback of Texas. Didn't look good at all. Didn't look like his namesake. Either that or Ohio State's defense is really damn good. One or the other. But Ohio State beat the number one team in the country. Texas was number one. Ohio State was number three. And right now, that means next week, Ohio State will be number one. I don't like it any more than you, but that's what it's going to be. And I want to let you know, we're going to move fast today because I know the evening games are coming up and Michigan's playing, and a lot of people are going to want to watch Michigan. So I'm going to try to get you guys out of here by 7:15. But I just wanted to remind you how big of a day it is across America. If you've been watching anything on television today, you've probably seen hundreds of thousands of people all over the country, starting with game day this morning with Lee Corso's sign-off. This is what America is going to be primarily focused on. They're not going to be worried about what the Democrats are doing and everything else. They're going to be out there living lives. And so it's going to make the news very hard to actually have people notice. There's too much other stuff that people want to see right now. Yes, I watched my grandson yesterday. We pulled it up again, the modern magic of television. They have a network where you can dial into high schools all around the country. So I dialed in and watched his game. They got trounced. They got beat, but he was arguably the defensive player of the year, of the game. He had 12 tackles, was all over the field like a madman. I loved it. And what the funniest thing is, when I turned on his game, as soon as I turned on his game, I was like, oh, that's him. He was the biggest kid in the backfield. He wasn't bigger than a lineman, but he stood out. And I'm like, and I thought to myself, he's only a junior. They're going to be college scouts looking at some of the other players, and they're going to notice him because this giant of a kid is standing there, and he did very well. I think he had like 13 tackles. I mean, he was from sideline to sideline, running people down, and just made me so happy. So I couldn't do a show yesterday because, sorry, I had to watch my grandson. No, not sorry. I had to watch my grandson. There were people who actually were pissed off because I chose to watch my grandson instead of doing a show. Just to let you know, he is going to be the show. But luckily, he plays on Friday nights. So I should be free on Friday to do things. Just got to time it out. But it was his first game. All the pageantry. I mean, if you've seen any of the games today, you've seen what the pageantry of college football is like. Nothing like it. I mean, just nothing like it. There's a funny video out there. The Oregon Ducks are playing right now. And, of course, their mascot is Big Giant Duck. He's running out the tunnel, and his head fell off. His head fell off on the field, and he turned around and hightailed it back into the locker room as if people thought it was a real duck or something. But I understand, having worked for Disney, you never wanted anybody to see Mickey's head off. They had to be in costume all the time. They never wanted you to see who was underneath there. And so this guy got off the ground and just sprinted back into the tunnel. Football. Absolutely football. I'll keep an eye on the scores. If I see some sort of anomaly, Oklahoma begins their game against Illinois State at 6 p.m. And so I'll let you know from time to time what's going on. So you can devote your time here. How you guys all doing? Good? Robin and I are in the process of moving, so there's so much happening at the same time. So the fact that we're moving, and tonight, as soon as I get off, we're going to run to Home Depot. We've got to look at some things. And I know a lot of you, I won't say a lot, I know there's quite a few people who are upset when I talk about the real estate market. And I thought to myself, interesting that the vice president said the exact same thing I did. Too many people think housing prices are too high because, there's some unknown reason beyond the immutable laws of supply and demand. That's it. There is no other reason. I don't care who is telling you what. I don't care what you feel. There's only one reason housing prices are too high. And those housing prices are too high because, they're not too high. They're high because of supply and demand. If there was no demand, the prices would go down. And of course, there will be some sellers out there who say, listen, I don't care if people won't pay my price. I'm not in a hurry to sell. And those people are just keeping their prices elevated because they don't need to sell. You can't get pissed at them. That's just what their nature. If you were having something you wanted to sell, and if people didn't meet your price, you just don't sell it. Or if you're desperate, you sell it. But the laws of supply and demand, I will say that till I'm blue in the face, and there's no argument anybody can make against. It's not BlackRock, it's not interest rates, it's not hurricanes, it's supply and demand. Anything will sell at the right price, including a house. But if there's a lot of people vying for that property, it's going to go up. So that's where we are with that. I'm gonna jump into this thing about real estate. I've got this piece from J.D. Vance that I want to show you. But before I begin, let me go ahead and acknowledge my sponsor for today is Home Title Lock. If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. Here's how it works, and this is really what happens. Criminals forge your signature on a one-page document, often called a quitclaim. They use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and just like that, your home's title has been transferred out of your name. See, mortgages and deeds are completely different animals. I hope with all this stuff going on about Lisa Cook, which we're going to talk about, we can show you and tell you it's two different animals. Your deed designates ownership. Your mortgage designates something you owe. And they're completely separate. So once the scammers take the property out of your name, they then take out loans using your equity or even sell your property. You won't even know it's happened until you get a collection notice or a foreclosure notice. So, that being said, when's the last time you checked on your home title? If your answer is never, you need to do something about it right now. Especially right now as mortgage fraud is so prevalent. That's why I've partnered with Home Title Lock so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code Barry at HomeTitleLock.com and you'll get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it, because it ain't cheap to fix it. Protect yourself. Don't be a victim. Protect your equity today. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code Barry. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Barry. And just to let you know, because I've had other people send me emails, no, it's not a scam. You can indeed do it yourself if you know how. I got a haircut this morning, high and tight. I don't know how to cut my own hair, but I could. I could go on Amazon and buy a blade and do it. Not going to be that good, not going to be efficient. So, if you want your title protected, Home Title Lock might be the way for you. All right, so I want you to hear what J.D. Vance had to say about home prices.
Why did housing get so unaffordable for American citizens? Two big problems. Number one, I already talked about, interest rates were too high. Number two, you had way too many people in this country who were competing against American citizens for scarce homes, and that's the illegal immigration problem. Why has housing leveled off over the past 6 months? I really believe the main driver is you've had negative net migration into the United States for the first time in 60 years in this country. You cannot flood the United States of America with 20, 30, 40 million people who have no legal right to be here, have them compete against young American families for homes and not expect the price to skyrocket. It's as simple as supply and demand. You increase.
I'm sorry. Did the Vice President of the United States just say it's simple supply and demand? That's it. We could close the case right now. That's why prices seem high to so many people. Now, you can argue, and as he just did, that the reason why the demand is too high is because we've had 10, 12 million newcomers in here that have been competing against Americans. And you say, well, how can the newcomers be competing? Because Biden administration was giving them mortgages. One of the closely held secrets is that everybody knew they were getting EBT cards and bus cards and hotel stays. What a lot of people don't know is these, I almost said the word, these newcomers were getting mortgages. That should just make your blood boil. Like, wait a second, yeah, you're paying through HUD and some other agencies and NGOs, you were giving these people mortgages and they were going into your neighborhoods and buying properties, which then caused the demand to go up, which then causes the prices to go up. It's that simple. And so by getting rid of these people and making sure you're trying to quell demand, then that should bring some of the prices down in certain neighborhoods. There's less people vying for that particular home. I mean, this is economics 101. Sophomore year high school economics 101. The problem is so many people have read so many stories about BlackRock and Vanguard and they've listened to too many people who aren't in the business. And they're like, oh, these people are driving up the prices. And it's not true. The only thing driving up prices is supply and demand. Well, it's artificially, no, it's not artificially inflated either. If you truly want to sell something, you can't artificially inflate the price because then nobody will buy it. And I see people arguing with me on X all the time. I'm like, okay, I can't lead that horse to water. Maybe hearing it from the vice president make you think a little bit different.
The demand, you're going to increase the price.
That's it. Now, there's another thing that causes the prices to go higher as well. And I will make full disclosure. I have played this game you're about to hear. And I have profited off this game you're about to hear, which indeed did make prices go higher. And that game is called Section 8. Section 8 landlords, if you pick the right property, are extremely profitable. Because the government, up until Trump came in, government would come in and say, hey, listen, if you rent this property to these people, we will pay you X amount of dollars per month. Every month, the check, the gold comes in the mail or direct deposit. I mean, you're like, oh my goodness. So I could then basically assign a profit margin I wanted to make. So if I bought X house and I said, listen, I'd like to see a 7% return, a 10% return, I would then know what I would have to buy a house from, and then I would let Uncle Sam pay the mortgage. You see, the government has been using Section 8 as a way to subsidize the hood and other people for decades. And nobody has talked about that. When you go on X and you listen to people talk about how the prices are too high, funny, none of the lefties ever talk about Section 8. They never say, maybe we should do away with Section 8 because there's landlords out there making an absolute freaking killing. All I have to do is look on a chart and I see how much Section 8 is going to pay me, and then make sure your mortgage is either about that or lower. So if you're going to pay me $3,000 a month to buy this house in West Palm Beach, and you're going to put the tenant in it, you're going to guarantee the tenant's money, that's a no-lose situation. So that drove up the prices because people like me would say, hey, okay, there's a house right there for $300,000. Hey, Robin, can you look up what the rent is? Oh, the rent's going to be about $2,800. Talk to the mortgage guy. What can we get the mortgage for? Okay, bam. Let's buy it. Let's tell Uncle Sam to send us the money. It was really that simple. It was a gold mine, a gold rush. And funny, the people on the left in the media aren't talking about that. They're pissed off because what's happening. They're pissed off because Trump is now going to stop that gravy train. And that gravy train stopping is why some of us have pulled out of that market, because now you don't know if you're going to get that money every single month from these people who aren't paying anything. Literally, they pay nothing. I mean, I've had some tenants where I say, listen, if you take care of this and take care of that, I'll knock $100 off, $200 off. I didn't care because I'm getting it from the government. It's not a scam. It was 100% legal. It's just something you guys probably didn't know about. And then, but you still own the house. The government doesn't own the house. They're just paying your mortgage. You absolutely have no risk other than the idiots inside breaking stuff or painting stuff. But even then, they're still paying it, so you just go in and paint it when they're done. How many houses would you have purchased if you could have done that transaction? Buy the house, have the government pay the mortgage by putting some tenant in there, and then just sit back and watch your property appreciate, and then when they're done, just put another one in there or sell it. Talk about taking supply off the market, which causes the prices to go up. I won't even tell you at one point how many houses we owned. Because there were certain areas of town where the spread was so high, meaning your mortgage was here and you're getting this much from the government. The government didn't care how much you were making. So when people talk about BlackRock, you have to understand there's a whole lot of BlackRocks, maybe mini BlackRocks, all over the country. Wherever you live, there are mini BlackRocks. I can attest to it because we were doing it. And I don't feel shame at all because it's legal, it's profitable, and the only people who complain about it, because the tenants don't complain, they don't care, they're getting a free house. Government didn't complain. As long as you kept the property up, they paid you your money. The only people who complain are the ones who didn't know about it. I would sit around parties and people are like, Barry, how many houses do you guys own? And where do you get the money from? Government. And they were like, you got to be kidding. I will explain to them how it works, like I'm explaining to you right now. It was such a good deal that there were people out there who would buy houses sight unseen. As soon as they came on the market, whatever you want, bam, here's your price. I don't even, you want to see it? Nope, don't need to go see it. I've already run the numbers. Here's your price. I'll pay it. We'll close in 7 days. And that's how it would be. If I was looking at something and I knew the neighborhood and I knew that, and it popped up, boom, here's your offer. We close in 7 days. JJ, yeah, do the title, run it. And it was that fast. And then once you got in and you put some paint on the wall and make sure the windows work and put smoke detectors and all that stuff in, then you call the office. Yeah, I got one for rent. How much you gonna give me? Yeah, $3,500 a month. Sure, send them over. And then Shaniqua and Leroy would come over. I'd shake their hands. Okay, don't mess around here. I don't want to hear no drug dealing or anything like that. Other than that, we're good. And so there's probably some of you in the chat right now are sitting there going, oh, hell no. Mm-hmm. Yep. I remember going to play poker, and I happened to hear a couple of people sitting over here. And I'm like, and I'm listening to what they say. He owns half of Fort Lauderdale. I just put my head down and I'm like, oh my God, they recognized me. This is before we did shows and everything. They just knew I had all these properties, all these houses. So I'm only telling you this because unlike what you'll hear on X from people who ain't doing it, I was knee deep into it. Knee deep. First phone call from some people. Hey, boom, you want it? You got it. Okay. It was trading houses like like people trade stocks. It was that easy to make money back then. But then you had to worry about what kind of people. You had to pre-screen them. And I'm like, okay, we've made ours, sell them all. Let somebody else play this game at this point, which is a perfect time because Trump gets elected. And I had the foresight to say, this ride isn't going to continue. We've been here for 10, 12 years. Let's go ahead and exit this because something's going to change. So Trump gets in, and I'm going to show you a video from Scott Turner. You probably haven't seen this because the ride is coming to a deservedly abrupt halt.
I was curious about some of the time limits on housing assistance. This is, housing that's already built that impacts millions of Americans. You spoke a little bit that some of the concern there was fraud, but I was wondering if there's, any worry about, you could be pushing out families who are dependent on these HUD programs that, this is really the only avenue they have to get housing.
You talking about the proposed time limits?
Yeah, that's right.
And what is your question?
What's your question, liberal nut? So in case you don't understand what the proposed time limits, there are people that I had for tenants who were tenants for years. And then their kids became tenants. And they just milked the government and just sat there and just lived, and government just kept paying checks every single month. Trump gets in, he hires Scott Turner, and it's like, this isn't supposed to be a lifestyle choice. This is supposed to be a bridge. This is supposed to be something to get you from point A to point B, get back on your feet. It's not a lifestyle choice. And I love what he says here.
If there's any concern about whether you're going to be pushing out families that need...
No, there's no concern at all. Government subsidies were never meant to be a lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever met somebody that live in government housing? Personally?
I have.
See, that's the thing when you talk to people on X and other people, even maybe in the chat, like, have you ever met people who are on Section 8? If you've never met anybody who's on Section 8, if you've never interacted with people on Section 8, you have no idea what you're talking about. Scott Turner's like, ask the reporter, you ever know anybody on government property housing? No, I haven't, sir. Then shut up. These people knew the system. They knew that if they got into a property, their rent was going to be paid as long as they could claim insufficiency, which made them not go look for work. Why would I go look for work and get kicked off the free house? I didn't say nothing to him. I don't want to know if you're working under the table someplace. Because if I knew you were working under the table, then, I might have to say something. So just pay the rent. I mean, just do what you need to do. Keep it looking nice. Make sure the garbage is out twice a week. And you won't even see me. Because the checks just kept coming. Every single month like clockwork. You just checked the direct deposit. Yep, they hit. Yeah, we're good. We're good for another month. And they would just keep coming and coming. And then if you did it right, I can't imagine if with AI now, the money would hit and then go to the mortgage company as soon as that hit, and then the balance is profit. Now imagine today with Ron DeSantis talking about doing away with property taxes. That's a whole nother story, because that would have made the profit even more. Now, understand that what they would say is probably you can't, don't want to get into a Lisa Cook situation, you can't do no property taxes if it's an investment property. I'm not sure how they're going to do this. But it's funny because even here in South Florida, Robin and I used to call it zip code pricing. We lived in Fort Lauderdale. We were on close to the ocean, and these rental properties were a little bit further west. Same police department, same fire department, same water department, same garbage people. The houses on the east were like 5 and 6 times X what those bills were on the houses in the hood. And I would get both. I'm like, why are we paying 6X what these people are paying? Not realizing these people is me. 6X. And then we realize it. It's about the zip code. The people in the hood don't have to pay that much for this and property taxes. They're not assessed as much. I'm like, okay, then you learn that game. Hey, listen, get in, look for properties that are assessed lower, but the value's higher, and it just increases your profit. Something else they don't tell you. But nonetheless, Scott's letting this guy know.
Hundreds of people around our country. Government subsidies were never meant to be a hammock. They're meant to be a trampoline. We're always going to have people in our nation that need help. And we understand that from the heart of HUD. We understand that we'll have these people. I met a young lady in a certain city in our country that's been living in a certain housing project, which was deplorable. She's 52 years old. She's been living there since 1953. Excuse me, she's 52 years old. She's been living there since 1973.
Now think about that. So, somebody's been in government housing since 1973. In 50 years, they couldn't get a job. In 50 years, they could not be contributing members to society. In 50 years, they never paid any taxes. They never paid any rent. You have a whole subsection of our population, and now even with some of the newcomers, who do nothing but get. They don't give anything. And you're paying for it. And so I love that Scott Turner, he's telling them, this can't be anymore. 50 years on assistance? That's crazy.
She's able-bodied, able-minded. She was raised there. She lived there. Now she's raising her children there. There's 3 generations living in government subsidies that are able-bodied, able-minded. That's not the...
3 generations. I've seen it. I've seen it personally. I'm like, who's that? Oh, that's my son Ray Ray and my grandson Ray Ray Jr. They got jobs? No, they ain't got no jobs. You gotta be kidding me. Of course, Al Sharpton and these people won't talk about this. You won't see this on MSNBC. There's an entire subculture right now that you are paying for that you have no idea, and if you do have an idea, you have no idea how big it is. Now, it's funny, I'm turning over here and I'm looking at some of the comments, and I see some of the comments, people get pissed at me, and I'm like, why? It's the business. That is the business. You may not like it. You may think the law has to be changed, but as of today, if I were to buy a house in a certain area and I wanted to put in Section 8 tenants, they would pay me. There's an entire website. I've shown it here many times. You can put in HUD fair market value. And if you put in HUD fair market value, you will be shocked. It will tell you down to the zip code, based on the number of bedrooms, how much the government today, even while Scott's trying to get it, put a handle on this, even today, it'll say if you're in 33124 and you got a 3-bedroom house, we'll pay you this much. You think I'm lying? Go ahead and put HUD, H-U-D, fair market value, fair market rents, FMR. Put in FMR HUD, and you'll see a chart. And you literally can put in a zip code and see if it's more than what you're paying for your mortgage or your rent. And realize the government across the flipping country are writing these checks every single month. And every single those houses that people are sitting in, somebody owns them. So it's not being hypocritical. It's not being, scammy. It's the business. That's what the government has provided for business people. There's nothing illegal about it. There's nothing dirty about it. Everything is above board. You got to sign the forms with the government and the various housing authorities around the country. You can do it and you don't have to live in a city. You could go ahead and buy a house in Maine right now and say, okay, that's how much you pay me for rent. Okay, I'll buy that house. And put, whoever's in there, I don't care. Just make sure my rent hits every 1st or 15th of the month. But now Trump's trying to do something about it, and the reporters are freaking.
That our government and our country is supposed to be. And so when you talk about time limits are kind of an encouragement. It's like, hey, you can do this. Now remember, we're talking about able-bodied, able-minded people, not seniors, not the disabled. People who are able to work, people who have the ability to work, people who have the mental acuity to work and look for work, right? When you change the trajectory of someone's future by saying, you know what, we're not just telling you to work, we're going to have workforce training around you, we're going to have skill training around you to get out of government subsidies to live a life of self-sustainability. This is not...
And that word sustainability is too close to accountability. The Democrats want no part of this. Oh, you're taking housing away from people. You're damn right we're taking it away. We're tired of paying for it. If you could stand and walk, we're not talking about people who are, like he said, seniors. We're not talking about people who have some sort of issues, either mentally or physically. We're talking about able-bodied men and women who are taking these subsidies forever. Ever. I mean, you talk about having to change mindsets. That's a tough one. How do you tell someone who's never paid a rent or mortgage, never, that all of a sudden this ride's coming to an abrupt halt and you need to get your butt out there and go to work? I don't know what to do. Well, like Mr. Turner said, there's some obvious vocational schools you can go to, but see, the incentive has never been there. This is probably coming to a shock for many people. I saw this one from Do Your Own Research. The government was inflating the housing market while pricing the average Americans out of the market. Now, I'm going to say something to you, which is probably going to tick you off, but this isn't like it happened during the Biden administration. Understand, this has been a program, like he said, the lady he mentioned, she has been in her property for 50 years. Everybody, including the Trump first administration, because he was cornered in, everybody has looked the other way. You know why they looked the other way? Ask Elizabeth Warren. Find out, do your research on how many houses Elizabeth Warren purchased, foreclosures, all kinds of different things. How do you think she made a lot of her money? She did this. This is what I'm peeling back the curtain right now, and you're seeing a mutual party, cross-party, partisan, no partisanship. Republicans and Democrats knew this program was out there for decades, and everybody looked the other way and participated in it. I won't say everybody, because there are obviously some senators and congressmen who didn't do this. But if you knew, like I said, right now, as of today, you still can do it. You can buy a house and have the government pay the money. Scott Turner's trying to tell this liberal reporter that can't happen anymore. We can't turn it all off today, but we're going to start turning the spigot off, bit by bit. You got a warning. Get yourself ready. Go get a damn job, and they're just going to turn it off. But the reason why some of you guys right now are feeling icky is because nobody's told you about this. When I said before that it's not about anything other than supply and demand, and I had people argue with me, and I'm like, yeah, do I have to dig in? And by the way, this is just one program. This is one. There's a number of them that will help you buy a property, and the government will fund it. This is one. And unless you've been knee-deep in this, you don't know how big this rabbit hole really goes.
Democrat, it's not Republican. Poverty has no party. You understand? Poverty's not red, it's not blue, it's not black, it's not white. It impacts everyone, indirectly or directly. So my heart, the president's heart, Senator Crapo's heart is this: how do we help able-bodied people change the conversation and say, you know what, you can do it. This is not political. This is, you know what, you can. So we're going to put time limits on here and help you to traject out of poverty, out of government subsidy to a life of self-sustainability. That's the heart behind this. Go and research Bill Clinton's bill 1996 when they did real welfare reform.
I was just going to
remember that. You don't remember, you're too young.
I'm too young.
But go research that.
You don't remember that. You're too young. Yeah, I was too young. Yeah, so shut up. Shut up, little liberal snowflake. You're going to make the black people go to work? Wow, imagine that. Something we've been doing all our lives, something that we've been doing every single day for, as probably many of you, since you were 16 or 17, and now it's such a novel concept. These people freeloading are going to have to go to work. Yes, now it's time. Turn the spigot off. Help people when they need help. Let's help them build a bridge until you get back on your feet. But how much time do you need? If the economy is going well, which we're going to talk about, you see, it goes hand in hand. If the economy sucks, then people need more help. If the economy's doing well, why are these people still on public assistance? Forever and ever. And their families and their other grandkids and kids and baby mamas, all kinds of stuff has been going on, and you've never been aware of it. Saw this. When did this come out? This came out a couple days ago. So again, when people were saying that it's too stacked against them, as they would say, explain this one. Explain how this is possible if everything is stacked against everybody. All right, mortgage rates fall to a 10-month low. Still high. As you can see, average rate on a benchmark 30-year fixed mortgage is 6.56. We want to get that down to 3.5, which will make a big difference. And down here, they show you the top metros with biggest increase in senior renters. And as you look at this, I don't want to play it because I want you to see the chart. You've got 60% up in Stamford, Norwalk area in Connecticut, Charlotte 53%, Raleigh at 63.5%, Jacksonville at 83.7%, Baton Rouge 88%, 66.5% in Dallas, 69% New Orleans and Metairie, I guess that's called. I can't see what it says for Florida. Let me see if I can roll this a little bit. Gonna give me a commercial. All right, as soon as this commercial. But anyway, you can see when you have this data and you have these kind of charts in front of you, it makes things pretty easy from an investment standpoint, because you can say there's the biggest metros. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Hold on, let me go ahead. I'll bring this in. Maybe we can listen to it together. 1 second. Hold on. 1 second. Hold on. Trying to bring this in, if it'll let me. Talk amongst yourselves for a second, and let's see. Hold on. Yep, I think I can get this. Yep.
Jerry Willis is here with me now to tell us more about this. Why are more older people renting now?
Well, this is interesting. They're locking in all that equity we've been talking about, right? More and more homeowners approaching retirement are choosing to sell and rent. Listen.
It's kind of like being on vacation living here, because we have nothing to worry about. I don't have landscapers to deal with anymore.
When it snows, I have friends that are, I had to go out and shovel the cars and shovel. I'm like, I didn't have to do that.
So these aren't people who can't afford the mortgage. It's people eager to sell when demand is sky high, and they can lock in piles of equity that they've been building for years. In fact, the share of renters 65 and older is up 30% in the last decade, this according to PointToHomes.com. And the trend has expanded well beyond white-hot real estate markets on the coast.
Oops. All right. So it's expanding. It's continuing to move. This is a trend. So if you know the trend, and you know that there are seniors now who are looking in some of these cities, hold on, as I showed you on that chart, somebody like me can say, okay, so if 83%, one of the top metros in the country with the biggest increases in senior renters. Seniors are now looking for rent instead of purchasing. They're dumping their properties. They're taking their equity and like, hey, so I don't have to do anything and I can just go here and rent. 83% is how big it's in Jacksonville. So what does that tell me? Buy a house in Jacksonville, make it look pretty, and offer it at a price and with different amenities for seniors. Put a pickleball court in the backyard. Do whatever you need to do. Make it appealing to seniors. It's going to sell. I just look at the data, the same data you're looking at. And then you just solve the question.
Up a huge proportion of the renter market. Listen.
What we're seeing is a lot of people, as we're talking 55 plus, have raised their kids in great neighborhoods. They've seen their equity build. So people that are no longer using the school districts, that no longer are commuting into the city every day, don't really need to stay in the house that they're currently in.
It's not just the high cost of maintaining a home at issue. There's the taxes. When Tina and Todd Olson saw New Jersey politicians expand a millionaire tax on home sales, well, they decided now was the time to cash out their home.
All right, so people are realizing, yeah, we can cash out, and they are bringing more capital into their own homes per se, and then they have a lesser amount that they're paying in rent, and they can live off the balance. So providing rental properties to seniors is going to be the new Section 8. Seniors who want all the amenities, who want all the safety, who want a nice area. That's why demand down here for rentals have exceeded the supply, because people like this coming from New Jersey and New York, like, yeah, I'm coming down with a pile of cash. I don't want to buy the house. I'll just rent it for 5 years. And here's $50,000 to put down as a deposit. And it works.
That 3 years ago, I would have said no. But again, with the timing of this, we said we didn't know what we wanted to do yet, but we knew it was a really good time to sell.
Doing some traveling and not having the burden of worrying about your home, we just lock the door and we leave, and there's really nothing for us to worry.
Of course, there can be downsides. For example, you'll want your guarantees your rent won't skyrocket. And like any renter, you'll want to make sure your neighbors aren't cranking metal at midnight. But the big upside is overcoming the big downside of real estate investment: illiquidity. By renting, even for a short period of time, sellers can unlock their equity and plan their next steps without worrying about what's next for the market or for rates.
Interesting
David?
stuff. Very interesting stuff. Mansion Global host Katrina Campins joins me now. Jerry, stay with us because you may chime in on this. Katrina, what does this new trend mean to you? I mean, it's affecting real estate all over the country.
Jerry and I always have a good time discussing real estate together. And, while I'm a huge proponent of home ownership, I do understand why people are choosing this route, right? It's very convenient. And I see this so much in Florida now, where you have these amazing amenities and you don't have to pay property taxes. You don't have the issues of, maintenance like Jerry was describing. And then insurance has become a huge issue in Florida. It's crazy, but I myself am paying more in insurance and property taxes in my properties in Florida than, the properties that I have mortgages in. So
So does that apply to supply and demand? Absolutely. It's the new Section 8. There are neighborhoods here, and I'm telling you, you buy the house, you put it for rent. And when I say for rent, I'm talking about $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month. In Boca here, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. People would much rather just have the intercoastal lifestyle, the South Florida weather, and not worry about paying. So what it is doing, it drives up the price because the demand is through the roof. All the way through the roof. So if you want to buy somebody out who's got a tenant and they're paying them $6,000 or $7,000 a month, what do you think the price is going to be? Hey man, I'm getting $7,000 a month. This is how much I'm going to sell my property for if you want it. So when people say, it's rigged and all this stuff, I'm like, no, it's not. You don't understand what's going on in various markets. Yes, this is particular to South Florida, but the Section 8 stuff may be happening where you are. So we're trading basically one source of capital for another source of capital. With everybody wanting to move down here, they're cash rich. And they're like, I don't feel like buying a house for $2 million, so I'll rent it for $10,000 a month. It's a completely different mindset. I'm only showing you this because there is so much BS on X and so much BS, even in sometimes our chat, where people are like, it's rigged. I'm like, no, it's not. It's capitalism. Pure and simple.
To be a landlord in many parts of Florida. So a lot of builders, what they're doing is they're converting these buildings into these luxurious stays. And also, it's important to note that
Okay, now we're talking to another aspect of things. The people building homes are taking them off the sale market and saying, hey, why should I sell it? I can keep the property. I can build my own equity. And this couple here from New York is willing to pay me $7,000 or $8,000 a month. I'm not going to sell it. And it's not just at the high end of the market. People are moving down from Massachusetts. They look at a $400,000 house. A $400,000 house to cap out where it's really, really interesting to the homeowner is, imagine you have a $400,000 asset. And you say, I'd like to make 8%. Probably better than any CD you can get right now, right? 8%, after taxes, we're not going to go into all that, but say 8%, that's $32,000 a year. At $32,000 a year, that means I need to get $2,500, $2,700 a month, and I'm going to make an 8% return. So I'm going to take that house off the market, I'm going to reduce the supply, and I'm going to go for the demand. And now that demand is, hey, there's people coming from New York, you can rent this house for $4,000. Well in excess of my $2,500 I need to do cap out at 8%. I hope you're understanding more right now. I hope this is really sinking in.
It's really important to have a sense of community, and there's been so many studies that prove that you live 50% longer if you're actually around other people.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
I'm a lone wolf, but I have to remember that when I get older, you still need a sense of community. My sister reminds my mother of this all the time.
Speaking of senses of community, there are a lot of folks in blue cities in particular who are in cities that are moving very far to the left, and some cities to the socialist left, like New York, like Minneapolis. Folks who have invested a lot of money in property in these cities are thinking, I got to get out because it's only going to get worse. Have you seen any of this going on? When we heard about Mandani here in, New York, the amount of inquiries to listings in Florida just skyrocketed.
All right, so again, here's another influential factor. You're talking about making these hellhole cities like New York and Baltimore and Chicago and Washington, and people have had enough, and I'm not going to be a communist, so guess what? I'm moving. What happens when they move? Supply goes down, demand goes up. Somebody asked in the chat, are you not talking about news anymore? And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this is news. This is big news. The housing market is one of the big things that J.D. Vance and Trump have been talking about. I'm trying to show you why it's going to be very hard to change this. When the interest rates drop, you think it's going to be easier to get a home? Or is it going to make it easier for people like me and other people like me to buy them and then re-rent them? Yeah,
That
was the direct reason why it was happening.
People were calling from New York because they're scared, and people that have experienced socialism, or like myself, have parents who have experienced socialism, heard those stories. And while rent control sounds very glamorous, the reality is that landlords will leave, developers will leave, and people will stay in those apartments longer than they should, right? And then younger potential tenants won't be able to enter those apartments. And so this rent control, this idea of rent control that the younger generation seems to think is a good idea is not, but only people who have lived through socialism or have family members that have understand that. And you only have one chance at socialism.
Right, and then it's forever. It's a forever thing, right? When you talk about, socialism and housing, remember, it's a store of value when you buy a house. That's the way the economists used to refer to home ownership. You build that equity over time. You don't build it by having rent control. That does not work. I want to point out one other number I found in doing the research for this story. Currently, in terms of equity, Americans hold $34.5 trillion in equity in their homes. This is a massive amount of cash savings that can be used for other things. And I think people are salivating over it, right? They've seen it grow over time. It's going up at a rate of $600 billion every single year. This is
Hold on. $600 billion a year in equity. See, people have been focusing on the wrong metrics in terms of this transfer and redistribution of wealth. It's been sitting in equity, and people are going to convert it to cash. And you're going to see, and this is probably why so many young people, quote, hate boomers. The boomers ruined it. No, we didn't ruin it. We saw what was happening, and we could look at it as a way to promulgate wealth for our family. And so at this point, they're sitting back going, no, we don't have the chance. They ruined it for us. No, you're not even talking about your own government did it. Biden did it. By bringing in 20 million people, he inflated the market. Those people all needed a place to live, and Biden and Kamala said, here, we'll give you checks for free so that you can just house these people. It's been a huge, huge shift.
All together, the fact is that socialists don't believe in private property. I mean, that's the essence of socialists. They don't sense the worth, the value of actually owning things yourself. That is so different. That really differentiates this country from so many others. And I just wonder how much longer this experiment will last before people discover that it destroys private property.
And also, it's also important to note that home ownership is still the best way to accumulate generational wealth.
Yeah.
The older generation
Absolutely.
understands that, but the younger generation doesn't. And I don't think, that I would be in the position I am today had I not invested in real estate. I bought my first home when I was 23 years old. Yeah. Buying a home was my goal. But now, the first-time homeowners are 38.
It's almost impossible with these interest rates.
It's very difficult now.
Yeah.
Katrina,
and
Jerry?
ownership is a good thing.
Yes.
Katrina, it sure is. Private property is a good thing, not a bad thing.
So in case you guys didn't recognize her, Katrina was one of the early contestants on, and you guessed it, The Apprentice. I forget which season, but she was one of the contestants on there. She's from, her business was in Miami, and Trump loved her in terms of, her real estate knowledge and everything, and she did well. I don't think she won, but she did well, and she continues to do well. Vincent says, Barry, shh, you're telling my secrets. Shh, don't tell people they're your secrets too, because then they'll get mad at you too. Home ownership is so American. Yeah. No property taxes, especially if you own it free and clear. I'm down with that. So is it impossible? Wait a minute. So is it impossible for someone like me, disabled, single with only $1,500 savings and only $1,200 a month to get a house? I would never use a superlative as strong as impossible. But depending on where you are, since I don't know that, your income you're going to have to find something really cheap. If you only have $1,200 a month in income, that's where it gets very tough. And it gets very tough, the same thing like with the young people, because they have no income. See, understand that when these people say, I can't buy a house and I can't do this and I can't do that, it also has to do with your income. Nobody's going to give you a mortgage if you can't afford to pay the monthly nut. And that includes your mortgage, your interest, your taxes, and then you're going to have a certain amount of reserve if it's a high loan to value mortgage to make sure you can cover all the the different things. Property taxes keeps people from improving their homes or adding a garage. Again, I'm not going to debate people on that. I just want to, I didn't want to piss anybody off. I know a lot of people are set in their ways, but I just wanted you to hear that from J.D. Vance, where he said it's supply and demand. And I saw it, and I went, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. And then the second part was with Scott Turner talking about doing away with Section 8. None of this should piss you off. None of this should bother you. Maybe it should bother you because you don't know it, and maybe you just heard about it the first time, and maybe some of you are online looking at HUD fair market rents right now, and you're completely astounded. You can't believe that this game is being played, and you guys didn't know about it. That's pretty big. All right, so we're going to change gears here. Hopefully everybody's not all pissed off at me, but, I wanted to give you more information on that because I keep getting people on X who keep telling me, I can't make any money, and it's not that, Okay, it definitely isn't the fact that the deck is stacked against you or anything like that. It's just business, and many people weren't taught it. And then you've got generational, what could we call them? Generational, what would be the word? I don't want to say leeches, but we have a problem here. We have a big problem with people who have been taking from the government for decades and not putting anything back into this economy. That's what the real problem is. I mean, it's just, if you want to be mad at anybody, be mad at, I guess, Lyndon Johnson, whoever did it, whoever came up with Section 8, whoever came up with some of these programs that just continue to make people pay their bills. And then that's where the Democrats are right now. They hate the fact that people have to be self-sustaining. Meanwhile, you and I have had to be self-sustaining for quite some time. It's absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. And I understand why people get pissed off, but understand it's not me. I'm just telling you what's going on. Hey, listen, let me tell you, microplastics, as you heard last week, are infuriating, and they're infiltrating every part of our lives. Scientists estimate we now consume a credit card's worth of plastic every single week through our food, our water, and even the air we breathe. One study found particles in 100% of human lung samples. Nobody is safe from exposure. It gets worse. These plastics just don't sit in your body. They cross your gut lining and they disrupt everything. They've been shown to alter gut bacteria, suppress your immune response, and increase your risk for neurodegenerative disease. They also hurt you with metabolic disorders and cancer. Some plastic toxins, like BPA phthalates, I think I'm saying that correctly, BPA phthalates mimic hormones. They interfere with fertility, and they change your DNA. Even if you eat clean or avoid packaged foods, you're still being exposed. You can't opt out, but your gut can help you fight back from Kimchi from Brightcore Nutrition. It is a potent ally in this toxic world. It's packaged with over 900 probiotic strains unique to kimchi and proven to break down the BPA, helping you detox from the inside out. It doesn't hurt you. It helps support your digestion. It helps protect your cells, your brain, your hormones, and your future. Your body was never designed to handle plastic, but your gut was designed to protect you. You just have to give it the right tools. And one of those tools that are very, very, I'd like to recommend is Kimchi 1 from Brightcore. Today you can get 25% off with the code Barry by clicking the link below. Or for an even better deal, call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. Give them a call now at 888-418-6738. That's 888-418-6738.
Breaking news now, there is word from Washington that the Trump administration is planning to conduct a major immigration enforcement operation right here in Chicago. Sources confirm to CBS News that could include armored trucks, federal troops, and ICE agents flooding the city. This morning, city leaders briefed a group of reporters, including CBS News Chicago investigator Megan DeMar. She is with me now to talk about this plan and what you learned.
Right, so multiple sources tell us that expected deployment is expected by next Friday, September 5th. Now, Mayor Johnson said they've heard the same reports, but about ICE agents, about possible deployment of National Guards, but they haven't had any direct communication from the federal government.
Let me start by saying this. I do not take this executive action lightly. I would have preferred to work in a more collaborative approach. I would have preferred to do the work with our allies in City Council to pass legislation ultimately. And we were doing that. We were doing just that. But some of the leaders who we are working with are standing behind me today. But unfortunately, we do not have the luxury of time. We have received credible reports that we have days, not weeks, before our city sees some type of militarized activity by the federal government.
All right, so I had the ladies on from Chicago Flips Red last week, and all of this is just incredible when you look at it. The Democrats are openly fighting against cleaning up their cities. They've had every opportunity. Before Brandon Johnson came on the scene, Lori Lightfoot was there. You can go back and see every single weekend, shooting after shooting after shooting. Dozens. I bet you this weekend with the extra day, because there's Labor Day weekend, I bet you it's over 50. It's incredible what has been allowed to happen. I say allowed because they could have stopped it. And I think what these Democrat mayors across the country are fearing is exactly what Mayor Bowser in D.C. is going through. The Trump administration is going to show that policing crime has a positive impact on the community. Duh! Why would that be a problem? Why would Brandon Johnson have to hold an emergency meeting today and sign some sort of executive order to say, yeah, we're not going to listen to the government? As a black person, it drives me flipping crazy. I mean, the Trump administration is going to show that removing newcomers as a general proposition and those committing crimes actually makes neighborhoods safer. You can't deny it. The administration is going to show the residents that voted for liberal progressive mayors like this idiot and DAs who tolerate and excuse of criminal activity is what has turned their cities into veritable, I don't know, hellholes, war zones. This guy, Brandon Johnson, and I'm looking at the picture here, he's surrounded with other blacks there. And I'm thinking, each one of you have sold out the people of Chicago. Each one of you standing there have sold out the city of Chicago for some reason. Whether it's your own pockets, whether you own property and you need these people, I don't know. But like Scott Turner was saying, that lady's there for 50 years. They keep these people under wraps. But unfortunately for them, Mayor Bowser now is in a position where she's being forced to admit that the D.C. Metro PD is having a positive effect in some of the worst neighborhoods in D.C. when given the support and resources of the civilians controlling the work and with the help of the federal government. They now have the blueprint that cannot be denied. So I don't know what he's thinking he can do. I mean, it's actually disgusting to think that you're going to fight safety. Listen to him.
It is unclear at this time what that will look like exactly. We may see militarized immigration enforcement. We may also see National Guard.
Did you notice that was the first thing out of his mouth? I did. The first thing out of his mouth. Hey, what are we going to see? Well, I think they're going to clean up they're going to do something with immigration. That tells you everything. That tells you absolutely everything, what this all is about. In every single one of these communities, they know they can't stay in power if there's no newcomers. It's over. It's done. It's finito. You can't do it. And because nobody has been looking at these neighborhoods, I mean, off from the outside, we're like, why are you guys always so late? Because they had so many newcomers. Their plan all along when Biden let these people in was to let them come in here and wreak havoc. These mayors, what they hate most is the sunlight, because they're going to be exposed and humiliated. We're all going to see it at this point.
We may even see active duty military and armed vehicles in our streets. We have not called for this. Our people have not asked for this. But nevertheless, we find ourselves having to respond to this. Let me be absolutely clear. Although we believe the reports we have received are highly credible, this is an erratic, impulsive administration, and it is not always possible to understand and know exactly how he will move.
You know, I've told you many times, my old boss taught me, is never bring a problem without a solution. And I would ask Brandon Johnson, if I was standing there in front of him, what's your solution? You live in Chirac. You live in Murderville. What's your solution? And if you have a solution, and this is where they get caught, if you have a solution, why haven't you deployed it? You see, the other thing that gets me is they know President Trump is coming, right? So since you know President Trump is coming, you got to do this executive order. Why isn't your executive order telling the police department, get out there and clean this up? We don't want to get stuck here before he gets here. I mean, if you're having company, make sure the company sees a nice, pretty place. He's not doing that. Why not? Why aren't you out there telling people, get out the street and do it yourself? You said you got police, do it. Nope, they won't do it.
He could change his mind, he could reverse course. In fact, I encourage him to do that. But still, we take these threats seriously, and we find ourselves in a position where we must take immediate, drastic action to protect our people from federal overreach.
Why aren't you protecting your people from bullets? You're worried about federal overreach. I don't even have the stats, but I guarantee you when I look at the stats on Monday, it's going to tell me about 50 people got shot. Why are you not protecting them from that? You're protecting them from Trump coming in to save them and make their neighborhoods safe, but you're not protecting them today. Today you got to have a press conference and sign the executive order to stop the guy who's going to stop the crap in your city. Make that make sense. Anybody?
Signing an executive order today that will launch the Protecting Chicago initiative. This is a project that builds on the months of preparation that we have done that has led up to this very moment. Protecting Chicago will ensure that every Chicagoan knows their rights, that every single family is prepared, and every part of city government is directed to protect the people of Chicago from federal action.
Why isn't every part of city government out there trying to protect people from the bad guys? Something's really wrong in this country. Something's hella wrong in this country. When you think about it and see what these people are doing, you got to be saying to yourself, this doesn't make any sense at all. You're pulling out all the stops, every part of the government of Chicago, and probably the state. I'm sure Pritzker will be involved. You want to have a standoff with federal law enforcement. Meanwhile, down on XYZ Avenue, the boys are out there doing whatever they want. What's going on here? It's shameful. It's disgusting. You got a room full of people. They're all nodding accordingly. But the people who live there are like, well, why don't you just put the forces over where the bad guys are?
This sweeping executive order directs our Department of Law to pursue any and every legal mechanism to hold this administration accountable for violating the rights of Chicagoans. This order affirms that the Chicago Police Department will not collaborate with military personnel on police patrols or civil immigration enforcement.
I hope somebody gets in there with some television cameras. I'd love to see how they're not going to cooperate. Do you realize you're giving Trump what he wants? You realize that you may cause a problem for it to be an even bigger emergency. You do realize what you might be doing here is doing exactly what they expect you to do. And I just want to know how these police are going to confront National Guard. Okay, guys, go move. No, we're not moving. Okay. Anybody got any handcuffs? Yeah, take this idiot. Next. Once these people start seeing people dragged away, and by the way, these cops are not going to do that. There is not going to be a bunch of police officers out there fighting and going against national law enforcement. Ain't going to happen. Now, you may be trying to rile up the city. You may be trying to rile up the gangbangers. And now, hey, guys, you can shoot for free now. You're working with us. So you're begging for a confrontation.
We will not have our police officers who are working hard every single day to drive down crime, deputized to do traffic stops and checkpoints for the president.
How do you stop it? I don't know if Maximus is here or any. How do you stop it? If they are deputized by the Department of Justice or the U.S. Marshals, or I'm pretty sure. How do you say no? No, I don't want to. Leave? This doesn't make any sense. None.
This order affirms the CPD officers will be directed to wear CPD uniforms and refrain from wearing masks so that residents can clearly distinguish them from federal agents.
So he thinks he can tell Tom Homan's boys how they should be wearing, whether they should be or shouldn't be wearing masks. Boy, you about to you're telling Tom Homan's boys and ladies how they should dress and what they need to do to come into your city. I want a front row seat to this. I want to know what day Trump is rolling into Humvees. I want to see them walk up and say, yeah, take off the mask. I'm not allowing you to wear a mask here. As soon as you do this and reach out to grab somebody's mask, guess what? You're getting a front row seat in jail.
And finally, as I said, it establishes the Protecting Chicago Initiative, the most sweeping campaign of any city in the country to protect ourselves from the threats and actions of this out-of-control administration. We will protect our Constitution, we will protect our city, and we will protect our people. We do not want to see tanks in our streets. We do not want to see families ripped apart. We do.
What you're describing, Brandon, is specifically under the auspices of the President of the United States. Because he didn't say American families. He didn't say Chicago families that are American. He said, no, anyone who's a family, we don't want to see them ripped apart. You see who he's talking about? He's talking about newcomers. They are drawing a line in the sand simply for newcomers. They don't give a crap about the residents of Chicago. This is all about keeping as many newcomers in that city as possible.
We don't want grandmothers thrown into the back of unmarked vans. We don't want to see homeless Chicagoans harassed or disappeared by federal agents. We don't want to see Chicagoans arrested for sitting on their porch. That's not who we are as a city.
If they're not supposed to be here, that's pretty much what they're going to do. I have no idea how this man considers how he's going to stop this. They're going to try and make it a media spectacle. They're going to try and make it seem as though Donald Trump is doing something untoward and everybody needs to see what's happening. We can't let this go on. That's what they're trying to do. I see Maximus in here. I'd love to know what the cops would do.
And that's not who we are as a nation. My team and I have spoken with the governor, the county president, and with our federal delegation, and we are in complete alignment. The time for action is now. And with that, I will sign this executive order and then return for follow-up questions.
Because you could take that executive order and put it where the sun doesn't shine. That's about what it's going to be worth. I'm sure you'll get some court somewhere to side with you because these judges are complete idiots. But listen how they are now, well, they've been doing this, but it's getting even worse in the media how they're going to be describing all of this.
Think about what Donald Trump is trying to do here. He is trying to establish police control over major cities. And he started with LA, but then he started on Washington. This is what the Nazis did in 1933. One of the first things they did in the spring of 1933 was to take over the state governments and the policing functions of the state governments like Bavaria, Prussia, and so on and so forth. And if on January 6, 2021, Donald Trump had the kind of control.
Yeah. So they go right back to January 6th. They're beating that dead horse. They're beating that dead horse as well as calling us all Nazis, fascists. The people who watch these shows obviously can't tell the difference. They weren't around back in 1939, so they don't have any idea except for what they're telling them. Hey, this is what Hitler did back in 1939. He did the exact same thing. No, he didn't. And now you're going to pivot very quickly to their frothing mouth here of January 6th.
Of policing in the District of Columbia that he seeks to have in this city and others. How do you think that would have went?
It would not have.
He would have called in the National Guard.
For folks at home, if you remember, people, it's easy for us to forget because between COVID, January 6th, so many things have happened since then. But on January 6th, history will record, and if you talk to anybody who knows, it was the Metropolitan Police Department. It was DC's MPD that if they were not there, the Capitol would have been overrun.
That's right.
They would.
Why was the National Guard not there? Again, your audience has no clue. Your audience doesn't know that the National Guard was offered. Your audience doesn't know that the people you say died on January 6th, there is actually only one. Your people don't know that nobody was armed. Your people don't know that this week 50 people are going to get shot in Chicago on top of last year's 50 people. You don't tell people the truth. And so because you don't tell people the truth, it requires people like me to bring the truth. I'm going to show you something here in a second.
Have found Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pence. It was the MPD officers who did their duty and held the line until the National Guard could arrive after the president relented. Can't believe he had to be relented and call them in.
Hours later.
So
complete falsehood. With a straight face looking into the camera. She forgets the entirety that we have the tapes, we have the phone calls, we have the videos where he said, go ahead and put the National Guard. Nancy Pelosi said no. They don't expect people to do the research, to go look it up. And so they lie. And again, I'm going to go back to the, as they say, the root here. The root here is I'm looking at 3 black people, a woman and 2 men. And none of them are addressing the root problem. People are getting shot on a weekly basis in Chicago and where it was Washington, how it was before Trump got in, like they're target practicing. Little babies, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. But they don't even talk about it. It's like it doesn't happen. It's like they try to tell the people who are watching them, this is all fantasy land.
I do think that that's a really important point. And
we have to be willing to speak up for our black children's future. And we have to be willing.
We have to be willing to speak up for the black children we allow to be born. We have to speak up for the black children who 72% of them have no fathers in the house. We need to speak up to the black children who will be mired in Section 8. Oh, I'm sorry, he's not talking about that.
To fight for our black children's future. Because if we ain't willing to fight for our black children's future, we can't expect nobody else to fight for our black children's future. Are y'all ready to fight?
You see what's going on here, right? You see what they're trying to do. The desperation now is rising. They need to try and find, it didn't work in Washington, D.C., and they're like, okay, we got to get people in Chicago riled up. We got to get people, they got to do something. They got to hit the streets. They have to fight. And you look at the people's faces and you're like, seriously, man? You're telling everybody who sees this how big of a fight you need? to save the black children without saving them? Anybody else find it just completely ironic? Is that not the definition of ironic? We got to fight for the black children. We got to fight for their futures by stopping the guy who's trying to save their futures. It's embarrassing.
Ready to fight? Are y'all ready to fight? Y'all ain't scared. Y'all ain't scared. Y'all ain't scared.
I think they heard you the first 3 times. Be ready for what may happen this week. Be ready that they've pushed all the chips in at this point. Now is the time that they need to cause a riot. They need to have people spilling into streets. Because you got to fight. You got to fight for black children, their future. Even though we've destroyed their future. Even though we keep them in a place where they have no future. Let me just show you something I dug up. Hold on, let me make sure this fits. Okay, all right, so I got to resize this window. This came out literally 3 days ago. Three days ago. All right, you ready? Yeah, all right, here we go. Something they're pissed off at about, too. The most dangerous places in the United States in 2025-2026 by U.S. World and News Report. News and World Report. All right, let's go through the data. Crime rate can be one of the deciding factors when families settle down. Based on each city's murder and property crime rates per 100,000 people determined by FBI crime reports, these are the most dangerous places to live in the United States. So, as we're going through this, tell me what you see in common. Drum roll. Number 1, the most dangerous city in America, Memphis, Tennessee. Number 1. Number 2, Oakland, California. Number 3, St. Louis, Missouri. Number 4, Baltimore, Maryland. Number 5, Detroit. Number 6, Alexandria, Louisiana. Number 7, Cleveland. Number 8, New Orleans. Number 9, Monroe, Louisiana. Number 10, and then think about this one, Pueblo, Colorado. Number 11, Anniston, Alabama. Number 12, Little Rock. Would never have thought that. Number 13, I cannot believe, I used to live in North Myrtle Beach, 13th most dangerous city in the country. Tacoma, Washington, Birmingham, Atlantic City, Camden, Springfield, Missouri comes in at 18, Albuquerque, 19, 20, Kansas, 21 is Louisville, 22 is Canton, 23 is Dayton, 24 is Milwaukee, and 25 is Minneapolis. Notice what you didn't see there. You didn't see Chicago. You know why? Because Chicago won't report the data. Chicago knows their data is so effed up that they've downplayed. Same thing like Washington. They call a gunshot, he fell out of a tree and got stuck in his gut, even though they're pulling a bullet out. See, when you cook the books and people start finding out you cooked the books, now all of a sudden they're worried that all of this is going to come out. Baltimore, you should be on the clock. Memphis, you should be on the clock. All of this stuff is happening. Where is this I wanted to show you? Okay. I just wanted to make sure I had that. All right. SB just sent me something. This is hilarious. He's trolling. President Trump just posted these. 47 spending the weekend trolling the libs. Cue the liberal whining. OMG. Oh my goodness, this is just too funny. It's too funny how this is going to happen to these people, and they don't even know what's coming. Send in the dogs. Yeah, actually, surround them. No Chicago, that list is rigged. Yeah, no, and there was no D.C. either, was there? I'm not really sure. You don't see New York City, L.A., and San Francisco either. The books are being cooked in a lot of blue states. Yep, that's the reason why they all keep relying on those numbers. Oh, his crime's going down. Prove it. Well, he didn't get shot. He got the other end of a spear or something. Yeah, right. Master troll. He is. We could learn a few things from him. He's got them chasing their tails. Absolutely chasing their tails at this point. Yeah. What do we got here? Love the masculine energy. Yeah, for sure. The mayor of Chicago needs to live in the worst part of Chicago without security of any sorts. Yep. KRO, Myrtle Beach was a lovely vacation spot as recently as 2015. What the hell? I was surprised. I met my bride in Myrtle Beach. We met in 1993, and I loved Myrtle Beach, a little country, quaint town. I loved going into the Bowery where Alabama was from. Then Alabama did the Alabama Theater, and then all the Spanish Galleon with all the dancing. What do they call those days? The shag. It was sweet, and of course I loved the Calabash. I don't know what happened to Myrtle Beach. Don't have any idea. Yeah, and Gavin Newsom said he's going to bring in more police. All right, so let me continue because I know you guys may have a date with television. By the way, just to give you an update, hold on. Here is the recent update on scores. It ain't looking good for Bama. Not looking good at all for Bama. It looks like Florida State's only 12 minutes left. And Bama's down 24-10. They're going to fall out of the top 10 for the first time in a long time. Oregon, they're taking care of business. Oklahoma is already up on Illinois State. Florida's going to beat up on Long Island University. And Georgia spanking the heck out of Marshall, and Penn State doing the same against Nevada. So no upsets other than Alabama looking like they might get... They're going to get the wrong end of the stick. All right, let's continue with this craziness.
Crime. Here's why Democrat cities are plagued by violence should consider getting on board. If you look here at Washington, D.C. at a 2-week period this year compared to last year, property crime is down 20%. But the biggest thing are all of the violent crimes, often including robbery, which is down 60%. Homicides are down 71% from last year over this exact same period of time. Assaults with a dangerous weapon, down 10%. Yet, if you listen to Democrats, they don't care about those statistics.
Good afternoon. I'm Jillian Turner in Washington, in for Martha McCallum today. This is the story. We got new numbers from the White House as President Trump's federal crime crackdown continues on here in D.C. They say more than 1,300 arrests made so far. That includes a dozen known gang members, one part of Tren de Aragua, who's the subject of a murder-for-hire probe. Another's a minor taken into custody for intent to deal fentanyl. Plus, 5 missing children rescued, all that since August 7th. The White House now says President Trump...
Wait. Don't yada past there. I know many of you understand. What do you mean 5 more missing children were found? Where were they found? Who had them? How'd they get there? Where are they from? Are they for... That, to me, put that up to the top. 5 missing children are rescued. Yeah, I want to know about that. President Trump, he's on a warpath with Chicago right now, and he's letting people know what's going on. 6 people were killed and 24 were shot in Chicago last weekend, and J.B. Pritzker, the weak and pathetic governor of Illinois, just said that he doesn't need help in preventing crime. He is crazy. He better straighten it out fast or we're coming. This was, today's the 30th, this was 11 minutes ago. 11 minutes ago. He's coming. He's letting them know. He also posted this a little while after that. D.C. is virtually, in just 14 days, a crime-free zone. The people living and working there are ecstatic. President DJT. So why are the black leaders pissed off? Maybe those 5 missing children might know something. She buried that. Oh, yeah, we did this, we did this. Oh, we found 5 missing kids. Well, back up. Rewind. Rewind and tell me about those 5 missing kids. But she just blew through it. That was significant.
Considering a big city tour as he mulls a federal crackdown in places like Chicago, Baltimore. Meanwhile, out in California, the governor, Gavin Newsom, is deploying new crime suppression teams. His words. It's a move the White House says copies the Trump agenda.
It copies the Trump agenda. Oh, I think Gavin's seen this data. Of course he's seen this data. But I still want, you talk about going to a restaurant or something and being given a taste of something, you want more. You just told me that 5 kids were rescued. This stuff seems to be happening in a vacuum. Why can't we know more about the 5 kids that were rescued? Where did you rescue them from? Were they sitting there by themselves, or were there some, perverts there? And if the perverts were there, were they arrested as well? Do you know how they got there? Was there any money? Was there any computer stuff? Nothing. Oh yeah, they caught 5 rescued kids. What? That's a little big. That's a big information. Because maybe that's why these people are freaking out. Maybe they moved some of the kids before you got in there. Who knows? But you just don't have 5 missing kids sitting in a room somewhere. That's a major crime. That's 5 lives. Wait a minute. Especially if they were black. They just heard that other guy go to Black Children Future. What about these kids? And everybody in these cities are all freaking out. Why are you freaking out, man? Listen to him. He went on what's the crazy Peppermint Patty show?
It's definitely not about the crime. I just want to simplify and reiterate for everybody watching, or any of these cities.
You don't work for the president anymore, so how the hell do you know what it's all about? I just want to reiterate for you idiots watching my show, I know you have the brains of frogs, but it has nothing to do with crime. I got into that, and that was literally the first 6 seconds, and I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? And who is she telling this to? You have no idea. Nobody's picking up the phone and calling, hey, yeah, can you call Jen Psaki and let her know what we're doing? Yeah, I'd really appreciate it. No! You don't have a clue.
He's going after where crime has been coming down because of the actions of local communities, as you said. Now, Governor Pritzker offered an interesting theory for what this is all about. I just want to play that for you and get your reaction on the other side.
This is a part of his plan to do something really nefarious, which is to interfere with elections in 2026. He wants to have troops on the ground to stop people from voting, to intimidate people from going to the voting booth. So take note. That is what this is all about.
Who would be intimidated to not go vote? What exactly, which demographic would it be? In addition to what he just said, hey, Pritzker, you're not even addressing that, right? You don't want anyone to even talk about the 6 people and the 24 were shot and everything else. No. It's about stopping people from voting. Who is intimidated by seeing National Guard possibly at voting stations? Probably not the people who are legal to vote. So I want it then. If you're telling me that by having people stationed at these booths, you're worried that people might not vote who aren't supposed to vote. Yeah, it dropped out your mouth here. It's going to drop out of Brandon's mouth here too.
Well, I thought that was so interesting. I've been saying it's about normalizing military in the streets, but I definitely think that's part of it. But what do you think about this idea that it's actually about the next election?
Well, let me just, first of all, let's just say it. You know, the president has already made it very clear that he does not want another election. And we have to take those
I'm sorry. I didn't see that anywhere. He's made it very clear he doesn't want another election. See, if you don't listen to these people and hear exactly what they're saying, they say it for the benefit of the morons watching them, and then people at home just like, where did he ever say he didn't want another election? They just make shit up. It just falls out their mouths.
Of threats that he has put forth seriously. And it is quite obvious that he is not supportive of our Constitution. And that's really what it boils down to in this moment.
I'm pretty sure the Constitution says people who aren't supposed to be here don't vote. But you're the one who says, well, he's about to say it.
Support the Constitution or you do not. And this president has literally trampled on the sensibility of what our democracy is all about. And so, the city of Chicago, I can tell you this emphatically, we are not going to accept or nor are we calling for the occupation of our city by federal troops. In fact, no American city is calling for that. And this president has worked to make nonpartisan institutions. He has demonstrated over and over again that he is not committed to what we know to be true, is that our democracy really requires the full participation of every single person.
Huh? You hear what he just said? Our democracy depends on the contribution or participation of every single person. So both he and Pritzker let the cat out of the bag right on national television. Well, they're going to be afraid to go to the polls. Who? Well, every person that this democracy relies on. You mean Americans? Every person. That is it. Now you know specifically why they are freaking out. And that's why they freaked out in California. It's why they're probably going to freak out in Baltimore. It's all about the newcomers. They can't even, I don't know if it's some sort of right of satanic worship or something where you can't lie the way you'd like to lie, but they could have said Americans. He could have said it. He chose not to. Persons, everybody. They are freaking out because they will not be able to stack the ballot box.
This president is looking to do is to divide communities, and that's why we've been incredibly firm in Chicago and cities across America that not only are we going to defend our democracy, we're going to make sure that we protect our humanity as well. In LA,
what does that even mean? What does that even mean? If you want to protect humanity, why are you not out there stopping the 50 people who got shot last weekend, which will probably be the same this weekend? I would think if you were interested in protecting humanity, the humanity of the people who live in Chicago is on a threat. It's about getting on 7 o'clock, a little while when it gets dark. So what are you doing to protect the threat to humanity right in your own city tonight? Nothing. And here's Gavin.
Think ICE is not going to show up around voting and polling booths to chill participation? You know that. The National Guard, you know that. Everybody knows what's at stake, so we have to put a stake in the ground and do things differently.
Do you know? All three of them, probably without realizing what they said, and of course nobody in the media calls them on it. Pritzker, Brandon Johnson, and then Newsom. Why would anybody feel intimidated? Why would anybody be worried about ICE if you came to the voting booth? I wouldn't. You wouldn't. There's only a certain subsection of people who would be worried about voting. And so all three of them just said it. That is it. That is the answer. We don't need any more information. They are completely terrified of newcomers not being able to vote. That's what this is all about. They don't care about their people. Nothing. Here's the lieutenant governor.
Know that the last time that federal troops, our National Guard, quite frankly, were federalized against, for a state and sent to a state was in 1965 when troops were sent by President Lyndon B. Johnson to protect protesters who were marching from Selma to Montgomery.
She must be too young to know that's a lie. She's saying there's been no intervention with National Guard since 1965. since my father was in the National Guard, and I was there as a young tyke when he got called up in Hartford, Connecticut, when all the craziness went on, I can say with full clarity, you're a damn liar. But you're hoping that Aaron Burnett and none of the people watching would even know because they're too stupid. Wait a minute. We haven't had the National Guard called up since 1965? You remember Katrina? Remember Hurricane Hugo? The National Guard has been put into cities many times. Many times. What is she talking about? I watched my father get geared up. I watched him, my mom drove him to the armory. I was in the car. I watched it. So you're telling people right now what they know in their past. The National Guard's never been called up. Well, who are those people running around New Orleans?
Pastors like my father, Henry, who's now 92 years old, who marched for voting rights. That's how it was used to protect rights. And now here we are seeing President Trump federalize the National Guard to crush rights. That is.
I'm pretty sure protecting people from gangbangers who are shooting and killing them every single week is actually protecting people. But again, Aaron Burnett cashing the check, making sure she's doing what she's told. Come on, Aaron. Are you that stupid? I'm serious. Or are you just doing what you're told? Are you just a puppet and you have nothing to do with the actual news reporting? Just sit here and look pretty and let them vomit all over you.
Not helpful. So we didn't ask for it. We don't want it. The people of Illinois don't, and the people of Chicago don't want this to happen. It's a manufactured crisis. As far
manufactured crisis. I would be sitting here going, did Trump do that? I mean, did Trump have manufactured that? How did he get 6 people killed and 24 shot last weekend? How did he manufacture it? Aaron, you could have asked her that. Every single week, I'm telling you, Tuesday morning, you go ahead and Google how many shot in Chicago this weekend. Ask Brock, how many people shot? Oh, we had like 45 people shot, 8 died. How's it manufactured? We all know it. Spike Lee, a liberal, made a movie about it, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. Have you guys seen the movie Chirac? He compared Chicago to Iraq. It's called Chirac. We've all known it. There's been no secret that they've been killing people in Chicago for years. But somehow Trump is manufacturing a crisis. Wow.
As I'm concerned, we have to move very aggressively. It is not about, lingering and trying to think that maybe the courts will help us. I want, even though I know it may not happen, the cabinet that he's appointed, a bunch of his sycophants who probably won't do what I would recommend. It is time to call for Article 25 of the Constitution of the United States of America to determine his unfitness.
Somewhere in Democrat circles, they hit a big-ass red panic button. They're going to bring Maxine out here with the Lhasa Apso on her head, and we need to do something. We need to be very aggressive. We need to, throw him out of office or something. Big panic button. Big, giant panic button. Democrat Party is just like... They got nothing left. Absolutely nothing. Oh, he's dead. We haven't seen him for 3 days. He's dead. Think about that for a second. President Trump has been so on point. He has been so visible. He has been kicking their butt daily that they don't see him personally for a couple days, like he must be dead. That's how bad it is. You're so used to seeing him everywhere, anytime he wants, come out, that if I don't see him today, he must be dead. Meanwhile, Reagan Reese, she interviewed him yesterday, and he was out playing golf today. Yeah, they lost their crap. They've completely lost it.
To determine that something's wrong with this president. And I would suggest that we move very aggressively to talk about the danger to this country and to our democracy and not play around with this, because this is absolutely one of the most destructive things that this president could do.
Congresswoman. You mean that people shooting aren't most destructive? You mean stopping the violence is destructive? I'm pretty sure the word for that is constructive. Doing things to help people is very much constructive.
Wasserman Schultz, I mean, your take on this, because I think it's jarring to hear Congresswoman Waters say it's time for the 25th Amendment, but I mean, presidents have been impeached for much less.
This is true.
Oh, it's true. Y'all did it. You remember, you impeached them for a phone call. And now you reap what you sow. This is what you caused. You caused this retribution tour. You caused every single bit of it. It ain't going away. It ain't going away whatsoever. And all you have to do is look at this. This is Muriel Bowser, I showed it to you before, whose tune has completely changed.
Greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in this city. The most significant thing that we are highlighting today is the area of crime that was most troubling for us in 2023. Now, we have driven it down over the last years, but I'm going to get my glasses so I can make sure I can see it correctly. But for carjackings, the difference between this period, this 20-day period of this federal surge and last year represents a 87% reduction in.
I'm pretty sure just about anybody would call that constructive, not destructive. I don't think she knew this was going to be so good, that this was going to work out so well. But it is. I don't understand how these people are doing this stuff and complaining. And I don't understand how people are supporting it. Supporting the complaining and whining. You're absolutely terrified, literally, over people being safe. But at least Muriel Bowser, she understands what she's supposed to be doing.
In carjackings in Washington, D.C. We know that when carjackings go down, when the use of gun goes down, when homicide or robbery go down, neighborhoods feel safer and are safer. So this surge has been important to us for that reason.
So how do they deal with that? With the mayor in D.C. who was bitching about it beforehand, but now she's like, yeah, it actually worked. Now they want to talk to her anyway. Let's not talk to Muriel Bowser. It works. It absolutely works. All right, so let me just tell you tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to be going over whatever happens with the, what do you call it? All the Sunday shows. May not be a whole lot of news on Sunday shows because everybody's getting out of town, so they may have the JV squad on some of these shows, but we'll touch that. And then I got a whole bunch of information on Lisa Cook and the economy, which I'm going to be talking to you guys about tomorrow as well. So make sure I think we're going to, about 3 o'clock, we're going to do a little bit earlier tomorrow, about 3 o'clock, and we'll go through that whole thing. That's because there's a Notre Dame game tomorrow night, and I can't Notre Dame's playing here in Miami against Miami, so we can't be doing this about this time. We got to be doing it early, so 3 o'clock, all right? I did want to share a couple other things with you before we left. I had posted this, and there were a few of you guys that were laughing at it. It was pretty sick, actually. I put, "It's a friggin' religion," and Delray Beach gets ready for a state hearing over LGBTQ pride intersection. And Ron DeSantis has made a declaration, this is gone. We don't want this anymore. We're not going to take it. Get rid of it. And they're all freaking out. They're going to have a hearing about it. But, yeah, he's not waiting. I love it. Yeah, can you get this crap out of here, please? Yeah, we're just going to dig all these bricks right up. No, you cannot have the pride crosswalk. Stack those pretty bricks and take them wherever you need to take them, but get them out of the streets. And I saw this and I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Rip them up. Get them out of here. I thought it might have been easier for them to just paint over them, but I guess you can't paint over that stuff. But so these poor guys are having to go out there and rip that stuff up hand by hand. And to that, I definitely applaud those gentlemen, because get that stuff the heck out of here. I don't want it, don't want to see it, don't want kids to see it. DEI is dead. Dead. Hey, listen, before I close, want you guys to know they're bringing back the red knife. Again, here's the Trump red knife. And you guys can order this, and you can go to the QR code or to berryknife.com. Let me show it to you again. It has a window breaker here at the bottom. It's got the seatbelt cutter, which keeps you safe. And here's the blade. It's got a quick action to open it. Many of you guys have gotten this and you've been loving it. Good size knife. It's heavy duty. I use it all the time on things. Maybe I use it on SV. And SV's asking me to do something bad here. But anyway, this is the Trump red knife. And if you'd like to get this knife, go ahead and go to berryknife.com or hit the QR code. But here's the big thing. This knife is free. It normally, see where it says $69? Nope, it's free. But because if you go and you're part of the fanfare audience, you enter your coupon right there for a visit for 100% off. It's free. All you have to do is pay for the shipping, which I believe is about 14 or 15 bucks. So go ahead and do that. You get that knife for free. Won't cost you anything other than shipping. All right, so I got you guys out of here in time to go watch Michigan tonight and watch the end, I guess, of the other games. Thank you guys for tuning in on a Saturday. These people are nuts. When you know that this is all they have. I had to. It's Saturday night. Robin and I are off to Home Depot to look at some flooring. So I'm kind of delirious. Been a long day. All right, so let me see here and do super chats, and then we'll call it a day before the late night football game. All right, so I want to tell you, because there's times when I don't click on certain things in emails. Somebody got a hold of me and said that they did a super chat and they wanted a refund. Well, I'm not going to use the email. I don't know who you are. So let me just tell anybody, if you ever do a super chat and something happens with your credit card, I don't have anything to do with the transaction. Not at all. It goes directly through YouTube. So YouTube handles the entire purchase and whatever they do, and Barry has nothing to do with it. I don't have your credit card number. I don't have any access to even your name or your address. YouTube just handles the transaction. So if something happens with the super chat where you were charged wrongly, you got to contact YouTube. Now, and this is a big thing to know. You only have 120 days to go ahead and dispute the charge with it. If you don't dispute it within 120 days, they're not going to do anything. So when I got the email, somebody said, I just noticed a charge from September. September? 10 months ago? Nothing anybody can do. Nothing. Nobody knows. So at that point, I didn't tell her because I don't know if it was scam or what, but I didn't reply. Just want to let you guys know that. All right, Demon Cybertron, government money over working Americans. Yeah, that's pretty much. Briefing the Nation, not worth it. 80% or more of Section 8 applicants destroy properties. I try to look for working people to rent to, not trying to discriminate. I'm just trying to tell the truth. Well, it depends on where you are. You want another hint? Down here, they get these vouchers, and as you heard Scott Turner, and he said these people have been on it for 20, 30, 40 years. Those vouchers are gold. The last thing they want to have happen is for that voucher to be revoked. And there's a whole different bunch of criteria, especially drugs, that can get your voucher revoked. They do not want their vouchers revoked. They will do anything to make sure that those vouchers are not revoked. So, not sure where you are, but here, there is a 6-year waiting list to get a voucher. That's how many people want free rent. So if you have a voucher and you get bounced, you got to go to the end of the line, and we'll see you sometime around 2031. So I don't know what state you're in. I don't know how it works in your area, but here, those vouchers are gold. They're not going to screw up your property because they know they're toast if it gets revoked. Starfleet, thank you. 10 years ago, an apartment complex behind my neighborhood was entirely Section 8. They were breaking into our houses until the homeowners got a lawyer and sued the apartment owner. They sold the complex, removed all Section 8, and the theft stopped. Yep. Some of them can be real bad. I'm not stupid enough to think that there was something that was a determining factor in how they treated me. I'm a big guy and I'm black. And so I would go into these neighborhoods and say, don't mess with this, okay? And so maybe that was different as well. Who knows? All right. Patricia, hi all from Wickcalled, Australia. Hey, mate. The day Chicago died again. Oh, wait a minute. Did I go too far? Yeah. George Goers, thank you. Patricia, yes, the day Chicago died. Yeah. Be interesting to see what happens this week. Jack Hill, keep on keeping on, Barry. Thank you very much. Okay, here we go. The game is rigged. No matter what you say, I make six figures and it's not enough. You know, hospitality state, not even going to argue with you. If you make 6 figures and it's not enough, you're doing it wrong. That's all I'm going to say. Love you for watching, but it's not rigged. It's not. Not when, put it this way, if you were here in Florida and you were making 6 figures, I get you a house within a week. A week. Any event. I don't like even arguing with people who try to tell me you can't do it. Okay? It's sad when I see people who do that because I don't know what they've had to deal with, but it's completely different. I mean, just it really gets to me when I see people who see things and they think that the deck is stacked against them when it's not, man. It really isn't. Let's see, I have to disagree because that depends on how you live and where you live. Exactly. Renters usually pay a portion of the rent even though they are in Section 8. Yep, you can charge them over, like if somebody has a $1,500 voucher, you can charge them $1,800 to make sure they've got some skin in the game as well. Yes, you can do that. Let's see here. What else we got? What's that say? Bottom line, their focus is having the illegal population for votes. Absolutely. SV, you hitting me up again? Wait a minute. What do we got here? He said I need to check. There is a. Hold on. A super chat. There's a couple super chats on here from Rumble. Let me see if I can't show them better so people can see them. Where am I? Okay, there we go. And so we have this. Snow White, 7K 100. Thank you. Been with you for a while and saw you in St. Paul, Minnesota. I've never been to St. Paul. I've never been to the state of Minnesota. You telling me there's a doppelganger out there, somebody that looks like me? That's kind of scary, but thank you. And Derp 100, enjoy your show, like how you interpret the news. Thank you very much. I know not everybody agrees, and that's people's prerogatives, but I can relate my life experience and life experiences of people I've worked with and people I've coached and things of that nature. So that's where I get it. All right, so I'm going to go to dinner and go to Home Depot, and you guys are going to watch football, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Talk to you very soon.